It's fun. It is not. I'm not saying that the draft isn't fun because it's cool and it's kind of it's exposure. I think that the collegiate game and that MLR hasn't had before. Just the fresh faces, like you wrote that really fun piece on Wesley White last year, and unfortunately, he moved on before he played in the MLR. But just cool stuff like that, rookie of the year type of things. But let's go to the radar.
All right, Reese's radar. So this is going to be, we're going to be talking top prospects in the draft. So, I know you've put out your Skoltz Award watch list. So, you've got your eye on some of those guys. You've got the Flow Rugby, all access pass. So you're able to get into the vault and look at all the players at the top teams in college rugby. You got St. Mary's Life tape. You got Cal tape. So tell us who's on your radar first off, and then as my big board gets processes through, I think it's taken a bit to send it to you. As my big board gets through, who am I missing?
Okay. I think you just got to start off with the guys at the top, which are a couple of Skoltz Award finalists. Obviously Ryan Rees, who does happen to be my brother, but 4-year starter at Life, came in as a freshman, pretty much been in the, leader, field general of that team for 4 straight years, 2 national titles and a second place finish, runs the ship, great leader on and off the field. I think, it's kind of like you always want to draft, in football, you look to draft your quarterbacks and your offensive linemen first. And I think you can lock down a quarterback like Ryan. I think that just sets your entire team on the right track from day one. Right. And specifically, you've got an older scrum half that can kind of, help show the ropes a little bit, just someone to kind of not piggyback off of, but just learn from, kind of understudy. And so he'd be at the top of my list.
No, I think you're right on with Ryan Rees, and I think deserved in the Skoltz Award, and we're going to get to that in the ballot box section. We're going to talk a little bit more about that award itself. I think you're right. You're right on with him being a top prospect. I've got him actually number 5 on my big board, which is
okay.
I think you're gonna. I'd be surprised if I didn't get. You think it's some disrespect and get a text from Ryan here at some point, because I know he's probably thinks he's higher on that list, and I probably agree with him. But I think that we're talking MLR prospects. We're talking about prospective players to play in the MLR, and I think it's very likely, from what I've heard, that he could go play in leagues elsewhere. So,
right. So you're right. That's something you have to factor in is longevity. How long are you going to keep a guy that may or may not be looking at options elsewhere? I've got number 2 on my board, and kind of if in NFL you're always looking offensive tackle right away, anchor that line. I think you got to look at prop to anchor your front row, and to me, there's just not a better front rower that I've seen in college in the past 4 or 5 years that I've been watching is Peyton Talea Ilalio out of St. Mary's. I mean, that guy can literally do it all. He's skilled as a center. He steps and runs hard like an 8-man. He smashes people like a flanker. He's just got the game vision, the touch, the power, the feet. But then, what you really want out of a prop is someone that is lethal at the set piece.
Oh, yeah.
And he ticks that box as well. I mean, you watch St. Mary's versus Cal last year in the semifinal, if you can watch it. And that St. Mary's scrum bossed the Cal scrum around a bit. The same Cal scrum that took Life to school the next week in the championship. So I think that speaks volumes to Ilalio, and what he's done at St. Mary's the past 4 years.
when you're talking set piece, I just, I saw that, but I'm never going to really know what's going on in that front row. I've just given up on that. I can't really tell until that thing's just absolutely blown over, which he does. But I think seeing him and the way he moves in open space it's incredible. The way he can lateral ability, carrying that much weight with that, lateral ability is dangerous. And I think his biggest comparable to me is Joe Taufete'e. Obviously, one's a hooker.
I think so. Yeah.
But you see that dancing bear, ability to just weave through a defense, and you want to take an angle at this guy to bring him down, but he's suddenly cutting you back at 200 pounds. I don't want to overexaggerate.
Yeah, honestly,
as a monster.
And I just love his touch on his passes and his timing. He's just one of those guys that just gets it, all the way around. So yeah, he's the second on my board. Who's at the top of your board, Willie?
Oh no, he's number one. He's number one. I got him at number one, and I'll have that up there. Number two for me is Justin Johnson out of Life.
Ooh, yeah, I got him. He's on my big board too. Let me pull my board up. I actually have one.
Yeah, I saw you put out a mock draft, and we'll run that here on the show. As we talk about this. Yeah, Justin.
I'm with you. I'm with you on Justin Johnson. I think I've got him down at maybe number 9 on my big board.
Yeah, look, Justin Johnson is really an unsung, star in this draft. He's a real quiet guy when you get to talking to him, really unassuming guy, but this guy makes plays everywhere. And I got a chance to play with this guy at USA South, cover him, and you could just tell, he's like one of those puppies that you get, and they have massive feet, and big. That was him when we were young. Is him with these massive legs, and you're just like, all right, this guy at some point is going to turn into a monster. It only took one more year, and he was starting at Life, running people over, charging down kicks against Lindenwood in the semifinal. You name it, this guy was making plays for Life the last 4 years.
So I've gotten the lowdown on JJ from my brother the past 4 years because they came into Life together, and Justin, like Ryan, was a starter from day one as a freshman. So, he's seasoned, played at a high level for a long time. And one of the things Ryan always said about Justin was that he leads the defensive line every game. He's the one that he brings the line speed, but also brings everyone with him. And he's the one that, shuts down attacks, which is exactly what you need from a flanker. And furthermore, I think he's been a 4.0 student since he got to Life. And so he's just a really smart guy. And I was chatting with Colton Carriaga, the coach at Life, and he said, Justin is one of the most well-spoken guys from the time he was a freshman. Just, smart, intense, extremely hardworking out on the field. And, got a little bit of that piss and vinegar that you need, as a flanker.
He's got a great story, too. You talk to him, he'll tell you, he dreamed he was going to play rugby at Penn State. I think he always really wanted to go there. But then he stumbled upon Life. He stumbled upon their online player portal. And he just, typed in his info, typed it all in, got himself set up, got scouted, and boom, next thing you know, he's playing at Life and winning national championships there. And so it's kind of like like a dream come up story. You always want to, people always stumble into rugby and they want to find their way to the next step and the next step. This guy went from, an online player portal to winning a national championship to now, going to be a top prospect in the first ever MLR Collegiate Draft. So just a great story with Justin Johnson.
I agree with you.
Another guy I've got, we both know pretty well. We covered him USA Club National Sevens. He was playing for the Huns for a very short time. Tommy Hunkin Clark.
Yep.
Where does he fall in your top players in the country right now?
I'm pulling up my board right now, but I want to say I had him I think I had him around 7 or 8 range. Just something that Tommy brings to the table, which is going to be invaluable to him moving forward, is he can play anywhere in the second or the back row. And he has played both the second and the back row at, a high level. And, he brings that sevens pedigree too. So he's got the fitness and the mobility to get around the park at a number of positions. And, just a reliable athlete out there, which is, sometimes you get guys that are really athletic, kind of inconsistent. And then sometimes you get the guys that are super reliable, but, workhorses that aren't the best athletes. Yeah. But I think he checks both of those boxes as extremely consistent with what he does and extremely athletic, powerhouse. I think he's going to be successful on pretty much any team he goes to because the qualities he has, size, athleticism, work rate. Those are pretty much those are going to carry you through.
I think he has a lot of utility as well. He's not. You don't look right at him watching him playing sevens and say, this guy's a true second rower. I think he's still
right.
Could go either way. Could go to a flank. Could go to a center. I think he's really moldable. He can provide a lot of utility for any team organization that wants to scoop him up and kind of fit him for need.
Who I've actually got ahead of him on my board, but in that same role as one of those tweener, lock, flanker, number 8 kind of players is Ronan Murphy out of St. Mary's, who, you'll watch St. Mary's games and he's not going to necessarily tear it up every single game because he does his job. But when you watch them play against the best teams, like when they play against Cal, you really notice how good he is because, against those, it doesn't matter the competition, he still delivers on a consistent basis. And the guy's a freak athletically.
He's a freak, but he's also very, sneaky. He's kind of one of those.
Yeah.
We've been watching The Last Dance, the Michael Jordan 30 for 30, and there's a lot of talk about that Batman and Robin dynamic. And I think Peyton Layo and Ronan Murphy kind of have that 1-2 punch going. If you go watch some of Ronan Murphy's clips, watch how many of his tries or long runs come right off the back of some great run that Peyton Talea had. He lets the bulldozer clear the way, and then he, has great vision enough to spot that next line. Where can we be the biggest threat? And I think that's something that, a team's going to spot. A really smart coach is going to spot and say, okay, this guy's got field vision. We don't know where we're going to put him, but we know we want him in our team.
Definitely. I think so too. And, going through a team like St. Mary's where, you've had a back row in the past few years with, Viliami Helu and Kevin O'Connor and Alec Barton ahead of you. Ronan, I was watching an interview with him from last year, and he didn't even start till his junior year at St. Mary's. And it's just kind of that, learning to put your head down and work and learn from the guys ahead of you. And I think that's a good, that's good preparation for kind of how it's going to be in the major leagues. And I suspect, should he declare for the draft, that he's going to be one of those guys that fits into a team, might not start on day one, but, mid-season, he's getting in there and he's making a big impact. And eventually he's one of those guys that you just can't take off the field. And so I've actually got him number 3 on my big board.
That's high.